experience, did you feel you had sufficient knowledge going in and support once you went into this process? Were there any things that you can basically, shall we say, pass forward to other people and getting involved in the process?
We started to go to some support groups. And the support groups back then were people sitting around dying with multiple myeloma. And all they talked about is how terrible they felt. And, you know, every time you'd have a meeting, somebody died. And I said, "Mom, I'm not going to any more support groups. That's it. No more." Well, she found one with LLS, I think it was. Yeah, it was. And we went there, and it was very good. It was very upbeat, and everybody was, you know, living with the diseases. Since then, we now go to one that's at Dana-Farber. And the support group they have, I don't know if it's a model that other places use or not, but we have speakers and whatnot, and then we split into caregivers and patients. This way, the caregivers can get in by themselves, let out whatever's in about what's been going on, and it doesn't come back to the patient. And the patients can talk openly and not have their spouse sitting there either. So we do have a lot of support now that in the beginning there was nothing.
I just wanted to say about the support group we have now, it's really, I very highly recommend that it happens in other places, because the last time we went to the meeting was about 3 weeks ago, and I'm still have this pit in my stomach about what all the caregivers were talking about, and I don't know a solution to it. I just, it's a lot to do with around their spouses or whoever they're taking care of being on decks, and how really crazy it makes them. And the patients don't know it. Like he said, "What do you mean?" And I had my kids as witnesses, so, but it's really hard for the caregivers. Like, they were like, "I don't know who this guy is. He doesn't act like my husband. He's really mean. No matter what I do, I did the wrong thing." And they're like, they don't even want to be home with them, and they feel guilty. And I said to them, "Do you know, are they on decks?" "Yeah." I'm like, it's not really, but I don't think caregivers know that. And it's one point that I've found lately, that if we didn't have that support group, I don't know where, I think they might get divorced or something. It's really painful and hard to hear. So I definitely would encourage that to happen more.
I'm a Kaiser Northern California patient, and unfortunately within the Kaiser group there is not a multiple myeloma expert. So my oncologist did not have a plethora of information to provide to me, nor was I ever asked, you know, "How are you really doing?" Mm-hmm. You know, I'll always say, "I'm great, I'm fine," no matter how I really feel. But again, there was never that question, "How are you really doing?" So Steve and I are very fortunate in that we live in the San Francisco Bay Area and have access to the San Francisco Multiple Myeloma Support Group, which is really like a think tank. And we share information. They were an incredible avenue of support for me when I was first diagnosed, as was the MMRF, LLS conferences, the patient and family seminars they have in the Bay Area, plethora of information. The IMF were an incredible source of information, but that was all self-education. I didn't feel like that was provided to me at Kaiser. It was something I had to do myself. But again, I'm very grateful to be in the San Francisco Bay Area, and at this time where there is so much patient support.
And people don't look at Wikipedia. When you tell them don't look at Wikipedia, yes, it says you're going to die in 1 to 3 years. Yes. And I told everyone not to, in like the Art Linkletter old children's show, they all went online and they looked at it and they called me crying thinking I was about to die.
We've had people who've been essentially diagnosed 3 or 4 days before they joined the group. And most cases we're able to make sure that they understand that it's really a marathon and not a sprint. And that they need to understand that when they're dealing with the disease, the emotional shock is just immense, and that it's going to take them between 6 and 9 months to come up to speed on the basic biology and the basic understanding of what the treatment process is and where they're going to be going with it. But after the 3rd or 4th meeting, most of the people have backed off on the emotional shock elements of it and get pretty much engaged. Now, We have, it varies, the support groups in terms of where they meet locally vary from 5 or 10 people on basically when school is out in the late summer to 60 or 70 people. And the number of people that bring information is just staggering. So if you don't have a support group, take a look around, because they do exist. We've had people travel as far as from Fresno, which is about 90 miles away, and Sacramento, and we were able to get them placed in support groups closer to their homes.